Welcome, and welcome to Emporia's Celebration of Resale. My name is Jeff Dickerson, and I am the CEO of Emporia. Good morning, good afternoon, and in some cases, good evening, as our nearly 4,000 customers are located around the world. Thank you for joining today. Not too long ago, you received notification, whether it's in your Facebook group, an email, that the software company that you turn on every single morning to run your business had been sold. What does that mean? After you took a deep breath and gathered your thoughts, you probably wondered, why? What's going to change? Where's this going? And most importantly, how's that going to affect me? And who is Emporia? So we have a program and agenda today that will hopefully address all of those. And then some of them you probably hadn't even thought of. I'm going to take a few minutes and explain to you who Emporia is. We will then be bringing up the three founders of SimpleConsign, ConsignPro, and ResaleWorld for an in-depth discussion of where they've come from, why they did this, and what the future is looking. And then I have the privilege of introducing Jenn McAuliffe, Emporia's Chief Revenue Officer. Well, we will be having a presentation and interview of three customers that have made the journey from startup to, by any measurement, a very successful resale consignment shops. And then I will come back on later to wrap things up. So first of all, who is Emporia and who is Jeff Dickerson? I've been in the industry for about 30 plus years. And historically, I've worked with small companies that look for opportunities in the market that aren't currently being addressed by technology. And resale and consignment just screamed that. If you take a look at what's going on in the world of retail consignment right now, in 2024, it's projected to grow in the low 20%, whereas resale is going to be low single digits. The billions and billions of dollars that go into technology for resale completely dwarfs the opportunities that await consignment and resale. For instance, why can't we use this device here that people's faces are embedded 24 hours a day, it seems? Shouldn't you be able to get a notification instantly when a product's been sold, whether on an e-commerce site or even in your store? Shouldn't you be able to use that same device to be able to capture an image, use technology such as AI or perhaps machine learning, populate it with a description, get the appropriate pricing based upon geographical location? All those technologies exist today. And the reason I left a large company recently called Clover, that most of you know, it's about $2 billion. We did $250 billion in payments there. I was the CEO for a couple of years. And although it was a phenomenal opportunity and I learned a ton, I missed the ability to be innovative, to be able to move quickly, to go and solve untapped markets. And that's why I am here. Emporia is really simple. We have developed a North Star, and our North Star is to enable our merchants to sell more, faster, with greater ease, and with greater prices. Everything we do is based upon following that North Star. You could go out right now to ConsignPro in the Miami office, and it's on the whiteboards. You can go to ResaleWorld in Orlando, all across the boards, and in Columbia, Missouri, where SimpleConsign headquarters are, is the same thing, the North Star, enabling our merchants to sell more, faster, easier, and at greater prices. That is what we're going to be doing here at Emporia. I am committed, and so is Emporia, to the resale and consignment industry and to bring technology there to go after our North Star. One side note, more of a personal note, is I have a college-age daughter. And when I told her I was looking at the getting into the business of software for the consignment and resale, she couldn't believe it. She said, "Dad, you have no idea what's going on out there. This isn't some fad. This is a movement. This is where everybody is going." And it was pretty funny. I kept pinging her for a bunch of questions and answers. She did tell me that her consulting hourly rate was $500, which we negotiated down to near nothing. But I learned a ton, and I'm fully committed, and so is Emporia, to make this happen. I'm right now would like to bring up the three founders of ResaleWorld, SimpleConsign, and ConsignPro, so that we can discuss in more detail what's going on in their world and how it will affect you. So, without further ado, here we go. Welcome to the next stage here of the Emporia customer gathering, and I have the privilege of having the three founders of SimpleConsign, ConsignPro, and ResaleWorld. Joe Gabori with SimpleConsign out in Columbia, Missouri. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing awesome, Jeff. Thanks for inviting me.
And my pleasure. Brian Wilson down in Miami. How are things going?
Hey, Jeff, things are great. Thanks for putting this together.
Absolutely. And Ed Rosa in Orlando, Florida. How are you?
Keeping warm, Jeff. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. As we talked about earlier, notification went out to our nearly 4,000 customers over the last couple months, and they were notified that their software that they use to run their business every single day had been bought or had been sold. And with that was a little bit of angst, a bunch of questions. So I thought of no better source than go directly to the three of you for some of these answers. But before we go down what we anticipate happening here going forward, I'd like to go in the Wayback Machine, if we can, for just a minute, and ask each of you, how did you get started in this industry? So Ed, go first.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so I got started a very, very long time ago. I used to consult with stores in the Central Florida area on just basic business practices and getting what type of systems they could use to help streamline their operations. And a young woman came into my office. She had a consignment store in the Central Florida area. And she asked me if I had any software that really could help her out. And I said, absolutely, we do. And of course, I didn't know anything about the consignment software business. But after getting together with her over dinner, we managed to scribble out a whole bunch of notes on a bunch of napkins at the dinner table. We came up with a satisfactory price. She promised that she could get me more stores in the future. She fulfilled that promise to me. And the rest is history. Basically, I didn't really calculate on being in this industry, but once I got involved with it, I thought it was an amazing opportunity. And she was the one who helped me really get my career launched in the consignment business.
That's great. Hey, briefly describe what was the capabilities of that first release, by the way?
Wow, it was very limited. Add a consigner, add inventory, track whether it was available or sold. And that was really about it. It only had 4 markdown codes, Jeff. That was it. That's all you could really track, which is crazy in this day and age. It didn't do any POS. You couldn't print or check. But they were just ecstatic that they could get this system. And trust me,
and that was a long time. That was leading edge. It was bleeding edge.
It was bleeding edge, and it was very expensive back then. Even back then, the system was over $10,000 just to put a system together. It was crazy.
Wow. Thank you. Brian, how did you get started?
Well, my start was a little bit different than Ed's. I actually began my tech career after college working as a software programmer for a big insurance company in Hartford. That seems like a lifetime ago at this point. About 6 years into my career, my mom, believe it or not, decided to open up a small consignment shop in central Connecticut, and she asked me to help her find some software. Well, I spent a few weeks looking around the internet, and I really couldn't find anything great. So, being a programmer, I decided to see if I could write software for her. I spent the next year or so writing ConsignPro in my spare time, using the latest and best technology that was available. After many rounds of improvements, I think it was in February, maybe 1997, I sold ConsignPro to my first real customer in Indiana. And just like that, my small business was born. Over the next 27 years, I was lucky enough to find a team of talented people. Together, we've helped automate over 6,000 resale shops in countries as far away as New Zealand. It's been quite a ride, to say the least, but my mom was very proud of both me and ConsignPro, and I know we helped a lot of customers along the way.
That's awesome. Joe, how did you get started?
Well, my journey in software was quite a bit different than these two. If I was the one that was coding the software, our conversation would be a lot shorter. Not my thing. So, but my journey really started through the insurance industry. I was an end user, and we didn't have any software. So I hired a local company there, just a small company, to build me a little access database so I could track who had what. I didn't even know. We had multiple lines of insurance on people, and I needed some way to be able to track those customers that wasn't provided for me, so had to go out and make it myself. After I retired from that, I was in the industry for 16 years and thought I was done. Thought I was done working, but I was approached by the company that actually made the software for me. He was looking for investors, and one of the applications he had was in the pawn industry. And kind of interesting. I mean, I didn't know anything about pawn. I didn't know anything about used goods, but it really piqued my interest. My wife and I really have a lot of friends that are doing missionary work, and we thought, well, hey, maybe this is a tool they could use, and they could just get goods and they could sell that to raise funds for themselves. That was kind of just our initial thought. Jumped into the business after a couple of years because it wasn't doing so well, and finally made my final decision to say, this is not working. Sold the company back to him for a song, but we weren't totally done with the used goods. So through a lot of prayer and a heck of a lot of marketing that we did some research and found some 20 plus items that we might be able to address. So we, this time I didn't hire any, as I found out later, what a cowboy developer was, which you two are not, and not a good thing to have, or spaghetti code. So I ended up hiring a couple senior key lead developers from Carfax. They came in and we set out to create a state-of-the-art web-based application, which I'm pleased to see that we can continue to use today.
That's great. Thanks, Joe. So my back of envelope math is the three of you represent over 70 years of experience in the resale and consignment area. So I'm not sure there's any other conversation happening today with this kind of horsepower. Another question, each of you created and had thousands of customers. Why did you choose to sell your company now, and why did you choose to sell it to Emporia? Joe, could you go first?
Yeah, absolutely. We had several suitors. A lot of people have been reaching out. A lot of people are interested in this industry because of how, and we all see it, how valuable it's going to be to our economy going forward. But I was looking for a couple of things internally, personally. I wanted somebody, a company that I knew that would value our employees. It wouldn't just be bang, we're just going to ship you guys off. We're done. We're going to do it our own thing. And also that their families were important. And even the community that we lived in, we invest in our community, and Emporia was more than willing to continue on to participate in that, because a happy team produces the best results. And I think that's fruit of the system that we built. I wanted somebody that would be willing to continue on developing a first-class software, not just settling for, okay, we got good technology, but forgetting the service, the relationships that we had with those customers, and that they were real people that we were dealing with, not just a number. And that we also wanted to have an environment where that it wasn't just about the software, that they could be educated, that it was important that our end users had all the tools that they needed to be more than successful, to be able to succeed in what they are doing. And we realized that, the time was now. We didn't have the horsepower. We didn't have the resources to be able to push it over the edge where we wanted to go. We just calculated it was going to take us another 10 years to get kind of where we wanted to go. We needed to bring in not only financial resources, but also people resources, understanding resources, not only of our industry, of the bigger picture. Like Jeff, you alluded to it earlier, that we need to bring in what's available throughout the market, not just settle for what we have. So, and I just think that we didn't have time to complete what we wanted. But Jeff and Emporia, I think, you guys have started strong, and you're looking forward what's coming next to empower our industry, to bring us to places that I think we'd never dream of.
Thanks. Brian, why now and why Emporia?
Sure. So, 27 years is a long time doing anything, and it's an even longer time for technology. At this point, the technology that runs ConsignPro could use a major overhaul, and it was time for me to do something about that before it became too hard or too expensive to support. So I did what any entrepreneur does, and I thought long and hard. Do I rewrite ConsignPro to the cloud? Do I partner with a competitor? Or do I sail off to a Caribbean island and have some rum drinks? Well, after a lot of hand-wringing and many sleepless nights, I decided to reach out to a few select competitors. And it was Joe, actually, at SimpleConsign, the guy with the newest technology, who shared my vision for the future. Build the next generation of resale shop software that would not only benefit our current customers, but future customers as well. The writing was on the wall for us. Our new customers needed better solutions that run on the newest devices. Basically, that's how I got here. And now with you, Joe, Ed, and the team at Emporia all sharing that same strategic vision, I'm excited for the future of this industry.
Great, thanks. Ed.
Wow. So, I mean, I can just take bits and pieces of what Brian and Joe just said, and you can pretty much almost complete my thoughts. It's exactly some of the same thought processes that I've had that Joe and Brian talk about. I mean, over the past 10 years, I've been approached by so many PE firms who wanted to buy the company. They saw that we had, strong growth. We had a stable business. We were in a niche market. All the things that private equity firms wanted to see, but I didn't like the narrative that they were giving me. And so fortunately, when Emporia approached me, I said to myself, this is the narrative that I want. I was spending so much time, Jeff, competing against these great guys, these great companies. I mean, there was so much time just spent, what's Simple doing? What's Brian doing? I'd rather have spent all that time developing bigger and better software. So now here it is. I got a PE company that's going to come in and they're going to say, we're going to take all you guys, the three best of the best, put you all together, develop this just incredible system and provide, software for the next generation of consignment stores. And that's why I sold. It was because I knew that there was an opportunity to combine, like you said earlier, the 70 years of talent. And another thing, my employees, so important. I needed I've been around for over 30 years, but I wanted something that, that my employees would feel great about waking up the next morning when I'm not there, so that they knew that there was a place for them, and that they could grow with a company that is really excited about all the opportunities that are ahead. And that's one of the main reasons why I sold, Jeff. So it was that time. Yeah.
Thank you. So 70 years, collectively, you have an unparalleled view of the industry and you have a technical aptitude on everything you look at. Looking a little bit into a crystal ball, where do you see the industry going and what do you think the customers are needing out there? We just recently have had a couple-day tech summit, and we started to create a detailed roadmap. But if you just share with the audience your thoughts that went into that roadmap, it would be great. Brian, could you go first?
Sure. It's pretty simple, really. Our customers are looking for technology that allows them to sell more, faster, easier, and for greater prices, what you refer to as our North Star. They're looking for innovative ways to take an inventory with less work, sell that inventory for more money. They also want mobile solutions. It's funny, I was in the airport this week and I couldn't help but notice everyone staring at their little phones. The little screens can hold so much information, and we're not maximizing that today for our customers. That's a major opportunity for us. I was also really excited by a recent tech summit that you referenced, where I got a glimpse of what the future looks like. In fact, if it's okay with you, I'd like to share a few of those ideas.
I'll give you a signal if it isn't. How's that?
You got it. How about this for everyone? Taking a photo or two of an item, any item at all in your store, and having the details populate your POS system, while simultaneously creating the perfect SEO optimized listing, pricing the item for you, and uploading it to your choice of online marketplaces. How great would that be for some of our customers? All from just a couple of photos taken with your phone camera. Or how about this? Asking your software how to price, for example, a pair of gently worn women's 501 jeans, and have that share suggested resale prices with you based on your local zip code. Or asking, what are the most profitable days and hours for my store to be open? Not what are my most profitable days now, but what possible schedule could make me more money? None of these things are science fiction, and they're all here today. It's called AI, or machine learning, and it's fascinating. Software that can dig deep into your data, whether it's local or global, and bring you simple answers to really complex questions. In fact, retail systems are using that today, and I think it's time to play catch up and bring this technology to our resale customers. And that's not something any one of us could have done by ourselves, but together that's in our reach. That's precisely what makes this partnership so exciting for me.
That's interesting. We've talked a lot about that internally, about how woefully undersupported resale and consignment is when compared to retail. Retail spends tens of billions of dollars every year in innovation and technology, and that's what really highlights an opportunity for us and our community. Ed, where do you see things going here?
Well, yeah, just to sort of add to what Brian was talking about, there's no question that AI is the future of this business. And the reason is only because we are in the unique situation where our products are definitely, every product that comes across a consignment store's desk is unique. So it's not easy to easily describe that item. There's a lot of work that has to go into describing that item, taking a good picture of that item. There's so many tools available to the retail market that we don't have here in the consignment market. Those tools are only going to grow by leaps and bounds now that AI is really, we're right now on the cusp of a major breakthrough for the consignment industry, just based on the adding of an item, describing it, photoing it, what place do I list it, what's the best marketplace. There's so many, facts, statistics that we need to keep track of. AI is going to help us do that. So yeah, jumping on what Brian said, true, we are definitely at the forefront. And what's great is that with all the three companies, we get to really spend all our time just doing that, just really focusing on artificial intelligence and the products that are going to help these stores grow. That's the bottom line. That's why I'm so excited for the company and our customers, all of them, all 4,000 plus of them. So that's what I say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Joe, the future, where do you spend a lot of time talking to your customers. I've heard it. I've witnessed it. What are you hearing out there? I mean, we have resale, we have consignment, we have antique malls, all different, but all pretty much similar too in a lot of ways. Where do you see this thing going?
Yeah, in my thousands of conversations with owners, managers, employees, a lot of things can be shaken out with a widget, but they're at the end of the day, people want to know that they're being heard. They want to know that their needs are important, and they want to know that they're making the best decision for their business. And sometimes they'll come to you with something that's really simple, like I need hangers, I need tags, or I need a printer. Can you give me the best deal? And they're in the weeds, and there are a lot of them that they need help with their marketing strategy or negotiating a lease, or I got to open a second store, a third store. They're all over the place, and they really need to know that they're talking to the thought leader. They're talking to the source of truth, and that someone that really cares for their success, and not just we want you to make it so you pay your premium. We want you to be successful beyond anything that you can imagine. There's so much more out there, and that's what I really love about the vision that Emporia is bringing. Jeff, you're leading the charge.
Thanks. We talk a lot about technology and the North Star and enabling and things, but at the same time, we really have to spend a lot of time talking to our customers, talking to the other industries that are related to it, because we can constantly get feedback from customers, but it might not be all encompassing. For instance, there's a great reference that when Henry Ford started his auto company, had he listened 100% to his customers, they would have said they wanted a wooden wheel that didn't break and perhaps 2 more horses. What they didn't know what they needed was a horseless carriage. So I think we have a great combination. We spent hours talking about this with the domain expertise and bringing technology to the field. Not complicated technology. People want to use technology to feel smart and profitable and not frustrated. So we say this all the time, the eloquence, it's in its simplicity, and we have to stay disciplined at what we develop and making it very simple and easy to use. So I make it Jeff proof. If I can use it, anybody can. So maybe we'll use that as the gold standard for our usability. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, Jeff, I have a question for you. You recently left a very large company, Clover Systems, to join our small but mighty world of resale technology. Out of all the career moves you could have made, why resale and why now?
Wow. I don't remember this being part of the script. All right, we'll go with it anyway. What do you say? Yeah, recently I had run for a couple of years Clover. We took it to almost $2 billion and $250 billion in card payment processing. I had never run something that large before. It was an itch I had never scratched, and it was pretty cool. Being able to have 1,700 employees, 5,000 banks resell your product. It was interesting, but it was like driving a bus and not a sports car. If you take a look at technology, most of the innovations over the last 30 years came from smaller, agile companies that can come up with an idea, light it up, and not be encumbered by internal obstacles, politics, conflicting strategies, and everything. I built a career being in small startup companies that address markets that people haven't paid attention to. And I love it. I still don't have an alarm that wakes me up in the morning. I get fired up, hitting the ground running. I think what we can do here in resale and consignment is pretty cool. I think if you take this and get together next year as a group, which we will, as well as a couple times throughout the year, you're going to see the innovation and what that means to our customers and our merchants. And again, it goes back to the North Star of selling more faster with greater ease and for greater monies. And as you know, you can walk into any one of our offices, the North Star is on every whiteboard and everywhere we go. But I just simply like the ability to innovate, circle myself with really smart people that are passionate, and let's go tear it up. That's the fun part. I'd rather drive a sports car instead of a bus.
That's great.
So Jeff, we just merged three companies together, three companies that are also passionate about customer service. And we love that interaction with our customers. But it was a big investment. A lot of times, and there's a concern that there might be a plan to ship customer service overseas somewhere. What are your thoughts on customer service?
I've put on the headphones and I've listened at all three of the locations to customer service. And it struck me very early and very hard that customer service is a backbone here. I ran a company that had tens of thousands of small and medium businesses in the salon, spa, veterinarian space. And the customer service is paramount to everything. They know the people's names. They know what they did this weekend. They know what's going on. It's more than just a technical bit or byte or solution. My printer doesn't work. It's far greater than that. And if you take a look at our assets, one of the biggest assets we have as a company is our customer service. And somebody said it earlier about building a community. And that's something that we are looking to constantly repeat and increase. And I think in the center of that is customer service. So unequivocal, no, we are not shipping it off anywhere overseas in quest for a few pennies. I think the old adage of penny wise and pound foolish would certainly come back and rear its ugly head. It's interesting, somebody else asked me, are you going to come in? We have three companies. Are you going to cut folks and optimize? Heck no. We've already we've increased, I think, 23% headcount in the last 6 months. And we have some very aggressive plans to continue to do that. I think the opportunity far outweighs. We can't find enough quality, talented people to help push the rock up the hill that we want. So no on the outsourcing and no on the cutting. And if you know really good people, send your resumes.
Thank you, because I was just going to ask you a question about cutting jobs and reducing headcount, but you answered it for me, which I really appreciate it. What's on the horizon? I don't want to put you on the spot. Maybe I can. I don't know. I'm going to try to. What's on the horizon? Anybody else? You got anybody else out there you're thinking? What do you think?
And we all know you're relishing this opportunity to put me on the spot. So let's just be clear. Acquisitions. When we go out and we talk to our customers, when we take a look at all the technology that retail benefits from, when we look at neighboring markets, and we decide, hey, this is something that our customer base really, really could use, we have three options. We can develop it, we can partner with somebody, or we can acquire it. And this is just a basic rule of thumb. We're a technology company. As you know, we're doubling our development staff as we speak because our appetite to innovate currently far exceeds our ability to deliver. So we're going to continue to add more top-end engineering talent. There's some features out there that we don't need to acquire, but we need to partner. So we did a survey recently as we were looking for authentication. And authentication, should we acquire it? Should we build our own, or should we partner? We certainly aren't going to go off the rails and start developing optical optimization algorithms. That's not what we do. But about 10, 12% of our customers sell high-end bags, whether it's Louis Vuitton or Coach or top-end Jordans out there, and they need to know if they're real or not. So what I think you're going to see is a partnership that's going to take that technology and have it a call and embedded in our core platform so that our customers don't have to go to multiple screens or medias to launch an authentication. That's a great example of us partnering there. We have a huge product roadmap, 4 pillars and 27 features we have on deck right now. So we're going to be developing that internally. But there are going to be some companies, I'm imagining, that we're going to want to acquire. And that is speed to market. How can we get something to market faster for our customers? And at that time, yes. So a year from now, Ed, do I envision a few more acquisitions? Most likely, yes. We spend a lot of time, and we have some great resources looking at the overall market, and we will be aggressively opportunistic, I think is the best way to put it.
Good answer.
Meeting, we talked a lot about technology. Are there other things that our customers are needing or requiring in your minds? You know, we talked about service, we talked about others. Joe, we talked a little bit about community. You've said that. You probably say that word quite often. Uh, can you give us a little more description of what you would envision for community?
Yeah, I mean, community is a place that people can come, they can feel safe, and they can ask whatever question that they want. And we want to be that location they can go to where that they can get their questions answered, or we can outsource that out to somebody else that can help them. But whenever you're in the midst of educating, hopefully supporting, that's a better word, support. We want to be that support for them. They know that in their business, that we would be the first one that they would go to get an answer, to help them be successful, to be able to get to the place that they need to go. Whether that again, whether it's something small, I need tags, and I can't get any tags. We can help them with that. Where somebody is trying to bring their business to the next level, we would have resources, educators, those that would give them answers, not just on business 101, but how do we get you to that place that you've never even thought of before? So it's the creative environment. It's a place where we can come, we can ask questions, we can engage at all different levels of what their business is, and in support for them. There's really what I like about it is there's no limit to places you can go to help someone, to allow them, to help them to be successful. And to me, that's community. It's community without barriers, but it's communities with strong support.
We also talked about this at our offsite that community isn't something you can buy or sell, it's something you must earn. So, woven inside of everything we're doing here is to build that credibility and that comfort. That doesn't, you can't microwave that. It's a slow, slow cook. So we hopefully are on our way. We'll start with the customer service. We'll also start by saying what we're going to do and do what we say. And I think some pretty cool technology along the way is going to put some smiles on people's faces and relieve some of the angst on the change here going forward. Closing comments here. Brian, any closing thoughts, any messages to your 1,000+ customers?
Yeah, sure. I'd say, be confident in the fact that, as you said, we've got 70 years combined experience in this industry between the three thought leaders that are here. We have, way more years of that when we pull in the staffs of each of these companies. The staff of the combined company is here to help you make the right decisions, and ConsignPro customers will be left in a better place with the Emporia umbrella over us.
Ed, any closing comments?
Yeah, I mean, I just finishing Brian's thoughts there. Absolutely. I mean, we're now in a stage where we can actually innovate faster, and I think that's the most important thing. That our customers are going to be able to reap the benefits of three companies' combined resources and knowledge base. It's unprecedented, and it's just absolutely unprecedented. So I'm excited. Our customers should be super excited about the next 5-10 years. I know I am for them. So yeah, I think they should be too.
Joe, you get the back cleanup here. What's your closing comments?
Yeah, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. When I first came into this, I don't know, I think I might be the oldest one here. I'm not sure. Well, we won't compare ages at this point. But when I first came into the industry, I had been into several different groups, conventions, events, and was always treated not very well. I'll just leave it there. But when I came into the consignment world, again, totally lost for the most part. The two of you, Ed and Brian, you treated me respectfully. You honored us. You didn't just make us feel like, well, you're never going to make it. You're just like the other hundreds of programs that came in here. You'll never go. I never heard any of that from either of you. And you just kind of, I felt like you welcomed me in. So today, sitting here, it's an amazing thing to see where, I mean, the Bible even says a three-ply cord is not easily broken. And that I think that this has been weaved together over time to create an amazing opportunity for this industry, one that we don't even know how far it can go now. So that's my final thought.
Gentlemen, thanks for joining me today and appreciate your participation. For those folks out there watching this, Ed, Joe, and Brian are still available on the same cell phone, and the same email, and the same Slack and Facebook channels as they were before. So please don't hesitate if you have any questions. I'm excited now to shift gears and pass this baton over to Jenn McAuliffe, our Chief Revenue Officer here at Emporia, and she will be heading up the portion that we're calling Growth Stories, where we have the privilege of 3 of our customers joining us today to discuss their journey from beginning to where they are now. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jeff. And as Jeff mentioned, my name is Jenn McAuliffe. I am the Chief Revenue Officer of Emporia. I am both a consigner and a consumer of resale and consignment. And I've recently joined Emporia because I'm really excited about what we are building here with all of you. With that in mind, I am pleased to introduce our panelists for our growth story conversations. First, we'll start with Kristen Armstrong from Ensemble. Kristen, welcome.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Armstrong. I own Ensemble Consignment Boutique. I've had my Ensemble Charleston location for about 14 years, and I just opened a new location in Nashville, Tennessee. I love consignment, grew up shopping, thrifting. So this is what I love to do.
Great. And next we have Melissa Morales from Back by Popular Demand. Melissa, welcome.
Hi, I'm Melissa. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I love consignment. I've been in the industry for 26 years and have 2 stores in the Atlanta area. When I'm not running through a ton of clothes or going through someone's closet, I'm on the river with my kids.
Excellent. And finally, Christian Gillum from The Painted Tree. Christian, welcome.
Hey everyone, I'm Christian Gillum. I'm head of growth and analysis at Painted Tree Boutiques. I started in 2015 and now we're at 33 locations nationwide. And much of this growth is credited to our strategic use of technological advantages, especially SimpleConsign.
Awesome. All right. Well, panelists, great to have you all here today. All right. So let's get started. So I'm going to open this first question up to each of you on the panel. What does growth mean to you? Kristen, let's start with you.
Growth to me means doing whatever you want to do to grow your business, whatever you're passionate about, whatever avenue you want to go down. For me, it was opening up another location in a whole other state, get me out of my comfort zone. But whatever that looks like to you, whatever challenges you and, gets you kind of outside of your box, you got to do it. You got to take the risk.
Great. And Melissa, how about you?
Being in the industry now a little over 20 years, I could answer that question in a lot of different avenues. I think in the beginning it was about more, bigger, better. Now 20 plus years later, growth means a work-life balance for me and having a business that's successful and run without me micromanaging it, but also enjoying a life outside of it.
Great. And Christian, how about you? What does growth mean to you?
For me, growth at Painted Tree is not just about expanding our locations, but also deepening the value we offer to vendors and customers. So it's kind of a combination of scalable technology, customer service, and keeping an eye out for market trends so we can use those to our advantage. We just want to make sure we actually improve the business just as fast, if not faster, than we grow it.
Great. All right. Next, we're going to move on to best practices and goal setting. Christian, we're going to start here with you. What types of initiatives do you think about when you think about growth?
Well, for us, growth is really comes down to vendor partnerships. That's a really big deal for us because we actually lease out space in our store to vendors, and they come in and sell their own stuff. So that's probably the most important initiative for us. We want the vendors to do well because if our vendors don't do well, then we don't do well. Another huge one for us is also employee development. As we've grown, we've ended up with quite a large workforce of employees, and learning to manage everyone efficiently while developing a positive work environment can be tricky sometimes.
Great. And Melissa, I'll pose this one to you. When you think about growth initiatives, what goes into the planning for those initiatives and what goes into your process?
When I think of initiatives for growth, I think of accountability and relationships, both with my customers and my consigners. When we're looking to grow, we're looking to see that people trust us enough to let the process up to us. That also means having a workforce, like Christian was talking about, that's happy with where they do and kind of like a family environment, even when it grows to a large capacity of employees. So growth for me is having everyone know that we will do the best that we can do for them. So a huge thing for us is as we grow, we have consigners from all over the United States that ship to us. That to us is growth, not just centrally in Atlanta.
Great. And Kristen, I'll pose this one to you. What parts of your business are most impacted when you think about growth initiatives?
I would say definitely the clientele. You know, clients don't like change, and for me, I'm very hands-on. I'm always in my business, there to greet people, and to be hands-on with my employees. And so for me, taking myself out of the Charleston store and now being several states away in Nashville, that has definitely impacted the workflow every day. It's taking me, who is very hands-on, out of that location into a whole other location, but still trying to be hands-on in the original location.
Yep. And a follow-on to that would be how has that changed your interactions with your customers and your consigners?
So I think it's definitely important to be very hands-on. Check in with your top-tiered clientele. Check in with your employees. You have to have a good base that is running your original location. But I always do weekly check-ins with my manager, assistant manager, and I do try to always still be hands-on with clients. I do payouts, check balances, email lists. I do all that stuff to make them still feel like I'm still in the Charleston store, even though I'm in Nashville.
Yep, great. And Melissa, how often would you say that you assess your growth strategy, your growth path?
Weekly, we are constantly assessing. I mean, this is a really changing industry. So we constantly, some months we assess a lot, and other months we just kind of fly by because everything's running smoothly. So whenever the opportunity presents itself, we are ready to jump on it.
Great. And I'll open this one up to the group. What do you do when you meet your growth objectives? What do you do when you don't? Who wants to start us off? How about Christian?
Well, when we meet our growth objectives, the past 8 years, we've just continued to keep growing. So that's kind of the way our model is set up, is that we just continue to grow, and it kind of continues to build on itself. And it's such a low upfront cost and quick ROI that we can kind of continue to just push it forward and keep growing.
Great. Kristen, how about you?
I think if I'm meeting my objectives, then I'm thinking about what's next. What can challenge me next? What's the next thing that we can do? Can I throw an event? Can I do this? If I don't meet my objectives, then I'm obviously trying to brainstorm of what can I do to fix the problem? What can I do to get where I need to be?
And Melissa, how about you?
If we don't actually meet our objectives, a lot of times I will meet with the employees and see if there's something that we could change, or there's something that I could make their life easier. A lot of times I find that if we don't meet their objectives, it's because there's a little bit of chaos in the store, or the employees are not maybe as happy, or something's going on in their personal life. For us, when we meet our objectives, we really celebrate it. We do shopping, we do eating out, we do lunch in the store, and if we have a really great month, I give out bonuses reflective of that, because it's a family thing for us. We share all of our numbers. Everything is visible. Everything down from our supplies all the way up to our profit, so that everybody sees. It's a very accountable thing. Everyone can see there's nothing hidden. So we win together. We're down together.
Great. Are you hiring? Sounds like a fun place to work. Awesome. All right, next. We're going to move on to key learnings. And this is another one that I will open up to the group. So can you share with our audience 3 key learnings that each of you have learned as you've grown? Kristen, let's start with you.
Oh, this is a tough one. So I would say the top 3, number 1, in opening a new location for me, even though it's just my second location, I've learned that it's not going to be an overnight success. It's been very humbling. I'm the newbie in town. Nobody knows me. So you have to be patient. You have to know that it's a work in progress. Number 2, and we've all said this already, you're having a team in place to work your other location, to run it as if it's their own store is key. Communication is key. Weekly check-ins are key. And then number 3, I would say, don't become complacent. Always look for that next business opportunity. Being in this new city where I don't know anybody and I have this store, I've challenged myself to get out a couple days a week, hand out business cards, market myself, gain people's business and trust. So you have to always be looking for that next client opportunity while you're out.
Great. And Melissa, how about you? Some key learnings.
Get out of your way. As owners, we have a tendency to be a little OCD. You are usually the biggest hindrance to your growth. If you could get out of your own way, whatever it is you do well, do it well. Obviously, you opened a business. That does not mean you're a great accountant or a great displayer. Hire the best in each department to do the best. That way you have a team of awesome people doing their best. And you as the owner are not the best at everything. So get out of your own way, be willing to change, and be willing to let a little bit of it go. That's really important. That's, also checking in with you need to be accessible to your employees. You need to be around. You don't need to be the therapist, which we are, but you need to be available and realize that they also have real lives happening in the background. So when you have that tough conversation with them and be like, listen, I care about your life. Tell me about it, but I need you to leave it at the door. They know that you really care.
Great. And Christian, how about you?
Well, one of our major company values is always do the right thing, which is easier said than done, of course. But what that means to us is we try to prioritize integrity over profits. So if we make a mistake, we want to own it and just strive to correct it. Also, customer experience is critical for us. One disgruntled customer can create a ripple effect of negativity that not only hurts our brand, but also impacts all the vendors in our network. So we go above and beyond to make sure that people leave our stores satisfied.
Great. All right. And Kristen, what is one of your successes as you've grown that you're most proud of?
I would say I'm most proud of opening the second location. I did it all by myself. I was able to save up the capital to upfit the store, to supplement and get clothing to put in here, because obviously I'm a new store. Nobody's bringing stuff in yet. But just to be proud that I've done it all by myself.
Great. And Melissa, in pursuing growth initiatives, you've been doing this a long time. What might have been something that you might have done differently if you had the chance?
Go back to business school. I went to school for art. Know your finances. And when I say know your finances, I mean more than just numbers on a sheet. Know the laws. Hire a really good bookkeeper and accountant from the beginning. Unless you are your accountant by degree, hire one from the beginning. Where your money goes, how it's spent is super duper important. That is going to hinder or benefit your growth, and that is going to provide opportunities or not.
Great. Okay. One area that our audience expressed interest when we did a survey to our customer base was on inventory acquisition. This is another area that I will open up to the group. When you think about inventory acquisition, what are your thoughts on different ways to acquire inventory? Are you only consignment? Are you buy outright? Are you both? And do you do any partnering in order to acquire inventory that's key to your business? Melissa, what do you think?
I have so much to say about this. So
Great.
inventory is one of those things that I can't, we're drowning in it all the time. And I think it's for one particular reason. It's because an owner told me this a long time ago at a conference, was to get out of my own way and stop making so many rules. You have to make it easy. So I have to be the drop-off person or the consigner, I guess, at that side. You need to make it easy. So if they want you to buy their items and you really want them, buy them. If you want to consign them, consign them. Don't have rules, don't have regulations. You can have that stuff, but don't have it where it's like suffocating them. Make it super easy. Pretend like you're the person on the other end. Does it mean that you probably go through a lot of stuff that maybe is not ideal? Yes, but boy, when you hit the diamond in the rough, or you have a consigner drop off an entire U-Haul of designer handbags, it's awesome. Also, knowing your clientele is really important. A lot of people don't trust the consignment process. That has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their experience somewhere else. So having clients who just want to be one and done and having that service. So when people call us and we say we take all seasons, year round, any day that we're open, no appointment necessary, no maximum, they love it. They come in, they bring it in, it's no skin off their teeth. If we don't take anything, they haven't prepared it 3 weeks in advance, made an appointment, set it up, and now they're offended. Some of them are still offended, but they're less offended.
Great. So that's an interesting point about the seasonality of things. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that's another area that people asked about. So it sounded like from what you just said, you take in inventory all seasons, all year. How do you manage that for seasons?
We drink a lot of margaritas. It is really hard. So when I was first in this industry, I bought a pre-existing store, and every year for about a month and a half on each side of the season, we didn't take anything because that was the way the rules worked. I followed the rules. Well, we also were dead. Like, we had no sales, and I'm like, I can't keep having these months with no sales because there's no fresh inventory coming in. I don't really have anywhere to store it, but oh my gosh, and when people are cleaning out their closets, they don't care about season. When they leave you, they are going to go to the Salvation Army, the Goodwill. Like, I want to grab the best of the stuff right then and there. So we started storing it a little bit at a time. Well, number one, again, it became a convenience for people. We need to make it convenient for people. Number two, when the season turned, and we're in Atlanta, in August, it's 150 degrees. Yeah. And we're selling cashmere and boots. Well, now when the season turns, nobody's thinking about fall season or winter season because it's hot outside, and what they see is what they bring. So if they only see summer, they're only going to continue to bring summer. Whereas we have hundreds of bins and containers now. We have fresh inventory for the website. And this is something that's taken a while to build. So please understand, like, it's not something you can do overnight. You do have to think about storage. You do have to think about, keeping it, smelling clean, and you have to have it so it's been a huge benefit. It revolutionized my business. When I was a teeny tiny store with just 1 or 2 employees, starting to save inventory and putting out fresh inventory when the season turned, eliminated those dead months. All of a sudden, we had busy months all the way through.
Great. And Kristen, how about you? What are your thoughts on inventory and inventory acquisition?
I love this question too. I'm going to come at it in the sense of the new business I just opened. For me, your outlets are endless. I mean, I've hit up tons of the buy sell trade stores here and just bought stuff outright, which is awesome because you bring it back to your store and that's just gravy on top. You know, the money you make on it's yours, which is nice. You have the online outlets you could buy stuff from. You can do estate sales. I've hit up a couple antique shops for jewelry just to supplement and get the inventory in here. And to me, that is so much fun. I love when I go to visit other cities. I always go visit other, thrifting and buy sell trade stores to try to see what kind of great inventory that I can find to supplement the store. Because again, that's your product. You can double, triple it, whatever. I just think that the possibilities are endless.
Great. And is inventory acquisition something that you guys also delegate to employees, or is it something that you personally handle?
I handle it myself because I love doing it. But I wouldn't be opposed to sending someone out if they needed stuff to get some stuff.
And Melissa, how about you?
All of our stuff is brought into the store, so we train everybody to accept it. Of course, that means lots of different opinions on what would sell. But that was one of those things I had to just let go and trust that they knew what they were doing. So we are constantly modifying that.
Great. And Christian, how about you with inventory acquisition?
So yeah, that's actually a strange thing for us. So we're kind of a unique model to where our main inventory is space. So whenever we decide we're going to move into a store, we'll sign a lease and then we'll start selling the booths in our store. And then all the vendors actually bring in their own inventory. And so they're actually selling their stuff, and what they bought from us is space. So a lot of it for us is kind of negotiating on the front end, just on the lease that we're signing, and then being at the right place, the right time, which kind of goes into the market trends like I was talking about earlier. The only real inventory that we sell is Annie Sloan paint, which is like a chalk paint that we get from Europe, and we have it flown in, and we sell that ourselves. But besides that, we're mostly just selling space.
Okay, the next topic I want to ask you guys is about COVID and the impact of COVID on your growth and any potential impact on inventory. Melissa, why don't we start with you?
So COVID was revolutionary. In one day, just like that, the faucet was turned off to all my brick and mortar stores. I had an online presence, and I would consider it 30% strong. All of a sudden, it had to carry the overhead of 2 brick and mortar stores and a ton of employees because nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew what the government was offering, and things were changing at rapid succession. So for us, what really changed was we had to go virtually online all day, every day, just to make enough. And I sat the employees down and said, listen, my goal is to make enough just to cover our bills until whatever happens, happens. Coming out of the other side of COVID, we all opened our brick and mortars and nothing happened. People did not come back in. People were scared. People were scared to come out. It changed the face of coming to stores. All of a sudden, it was all about convenience. People were used to dropping off, driving by and dropping off. They were used to, just having their stuff processed, no touching, no interaction. As a society, I think we're getting away from a lot of interaction, which is sad to me, but I see it happening quite a bit. And so it became a convenience thing. So we definitely noticed when we opened back up, a lot of people, there was also a lot of politics and stuff involved, which is not something that we discussed as a company. We're here to sell clothes. We're here to sell a handbag, and we're here to sell shoes. We're going to leave politics out of it. So that was really hard to kind of return because it was just, these are our customers, which are also our friends, and they want to talk about everything. So when they came in, we kind of redirected. With that, though, was really interesting because it really changed what people wanted. Even though we reopened our stores, people did not go back into the office. And as you can tell, the landscape has changed. People now are offended by going back into work. We work in the resale industry, in the retail industry. So restaurateurs, we're out here, on the front lines. But with clothing, the thing that we noticed is people were not going back to work. So all of a sudden, all of our drop-offs were heels, business suits, blazers, pants, and nobody had put on pants in 2 years. So, and that's really something that we see reflective today. That became really hard because as the world has opened back up, and just to be clear, in my business right now, we are at 62% of pre-COVID numbers in store, and it's been a couple years. Now, coming online, that has increased our business 38%. So it's really changed our business in a positive way, but we've had to work hard, learn a lot of things, kind of grow with it. Our inventory changed drastically, though. We tell people all the time, it's got to be really cute, stretchy, whatever. The bottom's got to be really cute, stretchy, whatever. People didn't even know what jeans were. And zipping up anything or buttoning it was super offensive. So it had to be fun. It had to be accessories. So it became really hard because people were very offended because they had been in the work office, lawyers, St. John beautiful suits. They had 50 of them. They were not planning to go back to the office. We cannot sell to who's not working. So that has drastically changed what we're actually taking. So that's been an interesting conversation, and we just kind of turn it around on them. We're like, when's the last time you wore a suit? And they're like, oh, pre-COVID. And we're like, okay. So we tell people now, Spanx and Anthropologie, if it doesn't go with either one of those pieces, we can't take it.
And Christian, how about you? How did COVID impact the growth at Painted Tree?
Yeah, so COVID was a really crazy time for us. So like I said earlier, our main inventory that we sell is actually space. And retail space, brick and mortar retail space during COVID, the value went down drastically. Nobody wanted to go out and lease buildings during COVID because nobody was outside, And so at the same time, it was a big opportunity for us because basically our inventory we could acquire for significantly cheaper, and it would hold that price over the next 10 years at a location if we took a 10-year lease. but at the same time, we have no revenue because we had to shut down all of our stores. And now have landlords asking us for rent. So there was definitely hard times there, but at the same time, it was a big growth opportunity. And with some help from what the government did, and also just getting loans and things, we were able to really capitalize on the opportunity of real estate going downhill. And we got a lot of really good locations and got in a lot of centers that we wouldn't normally be able to get into.
Great. And Kristen, how about you? And maybe you could also touch on Melissa's point about inventory, and maybe what do you do when you have to delicately reject inventory that might not be optimal for your store?
So for me, for COVID, what I found is, like Melissa said, it hit so quick and so hard. So if you didn't have an online social media presence before COVID, you were I saw it a lot during COVID, you were kind of up a creek. So I went strictly, to online social media. I was selling stuff all day, every day, going to the post office 3 or 4 times a week to mail things out all over the U.S. So I really relied on that client base on my social media side of things to keep me afloat. And I was doing porch pickups, I was doing porch drop-offs. I did everything that I could do to really, just keep business flowing, put my head down and just made it work. As far as the inventory coming in, I think it's all about thanking the customer for, allowing, I always will thank them for the opportunity of looking through their items. I think it's your delivery. Your delivery is key. So you want to, this might not necessarily be what we're looking for right now. I have too much of this. But then I also at the end try to give them a couple other options of what they could do with the clothing. So it's all in just making them, how do you feel if you go in and nobody wants anything that you've brought in? So it's all in the delivery of it and just making them feel thanked for the opportunity of coming in.
Great. Melissa?
I actually had something when you were talking about that. One of the biggest things that COVID changed for us was employees. Drastically changed that for us. When we were coming, everyone was laid off, everyone. And when we were coming back, we only hired the strength. Like we got real specific on what everyone did and exactly what their job position was, because we had no extra room in the budget. Payroll is the second biggest besides rent, and we had no extra room. So we could no longer hire bodies. And I will say that one of the biggest benefits we got out of COVID was hiring probably the strongest staff I've.
All right, let's move on to technology. Christian, let's start with you. How has technology played a role in your growth?
So technology like our point of sale systems, obviously, and our customer relationship management software like Monday.com have been total game changers for us. They allow us to operate much more efficiently, giving us the freedom to focus on strategic growth and employee management. Having a software like SimpleConsign allows our vendors to have their own consignor access portal to manage inventory across all locations, as well as monitor sales and track trends. And that's something that they aren't able to find anywhere else, and that's been really helpful for us.
Great. Kristen, how do you use technology to interact with your customers and your consignors?
Well, so my form of technology, I always go back to for social media. So your TikTok, your Instagram, your Facebook, that's all very important, especially in moving to a new location. That almost replaces the old email blasts and mail out flyers that we used to do. Now everything goes on social media. So I really use that platform to broadcast to my Charleston audience, hey, I'm opening a store in Nashville, tell all your friends. And then now that I have Nashville open and established, I'm constantly on there doing promotional reels and promotional videos and introducing myself. I think it's important to get your face on the camera and to the audience. So I use it as a vehicle to spread the word because it's like a domino effect.
And a follow-on to that, how has that impacted your growth? Like before you were using social media, now you've got a social media presence. How has that impacted your growth? So much. It's almost like a whole separate market for me because I actually do sell stuff on my Instagram. So it's like a whole other store almost. So you've got your brick and mortar, but then you're selling stuff on Instagram all day. And it just takes that one person to come into your store, put something on their social media, and they have thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers. And then you have all these followers.
and that just expands your business. And like Melissa was talking about, people then want to mail you stuff from other places, and it's just, the possibilities are endless with it.
Yeah, social media is another topic that has come up a bunch in our customer surveys. And just curious, any tips and tricks for our audience on what to do with social media, what not to do with social media from your experience?
I would say get your face on there as much as possible. You definitely, people want to know who they're talking to. They don't want to just see the clothing all the time. Like, show your personality, sell yourself, make them want to come in. And definitely frequently post. You know, if you go, 4 or 5 days and don't post anything, you can become a little stagnant. So you have to continually put new material on your social media to keep people engaged.
Great. And Christian, what would you like to see out of technology, any technology, as you guys continue to grow?
Well, in the future, I'm looking for a technology that not only like scales with our company as we grow, but also optimizes our operations more and more. So a system that can maybe intelligently manage vendor relationships. We'd like automated dynamic pricing and predictive booth sales during the sales phase of our store opening. We basically like to take as much guesswork out of growth as possible.
Great. And this is another question for you guys. How often do you assess your technology? Like, what does your cycle look like that you assess what technology you're using, how effective it is in your business? What does that look like for you? Christian, why don't we start with you? You're nodding.
Yeah, for us, we have so many people that use. So if I build out some form or something on Monday that a lot of people are going to be using, our employees, immediately we'll have 500 people using it. You know, we'll have hundreds of employees using it. Or if we build out something for vendors, we have thousands of vendors that would be using it. So we get immediate and constant feedback on all technology that we're using. And so we assess it pretty much every day as we're going through and getting feedback, good and bad, on anything and everything that we're passing down.
Great. Kristen, any perspectives from you on how often you assess it?
Well, the honest answer is never, really. I use what I use until there's something that I notice that needs to be fixed. For me, myself and my employees are the only ones that are using, I use Liberty software. So, I'm the only one that looks at it. And so until I notice something's not working right, then of course I'm going to come up with a fix for it. But I probably do not assess it as often as I should because I'm too busy selling sequin dresses and fur coats.
Love it. Love it. And Melissa, any perspectives from your perspective on just technology in general and how often you kind of look at it or assess it and think about it for your business?
So we look at it constantly. We're always looking for programs. We use Liberty as our software because it integrates really well with online sales. If we saw growth, what we'd love to see is more collaboration. So being able to launch live on multiple platforms at once, integrated with our systems, would be huge for us because that would reach more of an audience. As far as the customer is concerned, we're always assessing it because we're looking for what's the newest, latest, greatest. Actually, my website developer just came to me yesterday with 2 new widgets. She gives me a headache in the best way possible. But, we're trying to make it easy. It's all about how fast can they check out, how easily can they check out, how many of things are going to be shown as suggestions to them. She came up to me with a new reward system that actually would keep our ROI higher than it is, which is interesting, and then an easier checkout process. So we definitely are looking at that on a regular basis.
Great. All right. Let's move to our industry and industry perspectives. And Melissa, I'm going to start this one off with you. What are some of the current trends that are happening in the industry that you're really excited about?
In the resale industry, specifically like consignment, buy outright, live, everything's live, everything's being shipped. Brick and mortar is almost kind of like a display room, more so than the massive sales force. Most stores that I know now are 40-50% online, like half of their sales or more are selling online. The stores are great. It is an amazing constant stream of fabulous incoming inventory, but it's just very different. The trends for consignment are different all the way around. It's a good thing and a bad thing, kind of creates a little bit more work. but it makes a little bit more flexibility for us. So there's a lot of things that have changed, and it's changing really rapidly too. I see that the biggest trend in consignment is the changes that are happening faster. It's like you used to have certain changes that would happen slowly over progression of time. Now everything's at like lightning speed. And you have all these massive conglomerates like Amazon and TikTok jumping into the live game. You can go from a nobody to 1 million people watching you on TikTok, in a week. So
Yeah, great. And Kristen, how are you taking advantage of some of the trends?
I would say what I've noticed is just the uptick in sustainability and resale, especially too since COVID. People just have realized, hey, I don't need to spend full price on things, and just the secondhand or resale consignment market has just grown so much. So I definitely take advantage of that in that perspective, always trying to acquire new clients, always explaining to them, why this would benefit you to do this. So I just continually ride in the bandwagon of the growth of the resale market.
Great. And Melissa, as referencing some of the things you said previously, as the industry grows, like what should people look to take advantage of?
just knowledge. I mean, being open, honestly, just being open to what's coming out. If you don't know how to do it, be okay with YouTubing it. I YouTubed how to use TikTok 2 months ago to my employees, endless laughter. Like I literally had to Google it multiple times and had to watch YouTube videos on it. But I know it is something that's important to do. I haven't quite figured that all out. So I hired somebody who does. So just really just being open to whatever's happening. You know, brick and mortar is also starting to come back, you know, much in a much better swing since COVID. So, you know, what clients want now is very different. So are you giving them what it is they want? So cosmetics right now really big, really, really big. I know that's kind of weird in the resale market, but you know, with all these subscriptions, that's a big deal. Subscriptions is a big deal. You know, you have Rent the Runway, FabFitFunBox. Women they will order, I'm speaking about myself, will order an entire box for the one product that they like. Instead of ordering the one product, they ordered the whole thing. So now they have 30 products. They got their one, and the other stuff is just going to sit there. So we're encouraging them, like Kristen said, to clean out more often. And so they're bringing us 20 items out of their FunFit box. We actually now know all the products every month because we get them every month. Same time, like clockwork from these people. So it's some interesting stuff. But the small pieces, you know, turn really quickly. So it's a great for store owners.
Great. And Kristen, as the industry grows, what are some things that people should watch out for?
I would say one thing I've noticed is some of these bigger companies trying to take a piece of the pie. For example, some of the luxury companies are starting to try to offer, hey, if you will consign your loved luxury bag with us, we will be glad to sell it for you. And so that's taking away from people like us, you know, who we work hard and this is our job. And so I would say to watch out for some of these bigger, you know, corporate big box companies taking away from our little mom and pop companies.
Okay. And Kristen, a follow on, if you had one thing that you wish would move faster in the industry, what would that be?
I think it's the stigma sometimes that still is attached to resale shopping. I still have people that come into the Charleston store once or twice a week. They don't understand what consignment is, and for some reason there is a negative connotation with it. And you know, resale has grown so much and it has such a following, and I just wish that whole negative connotation would catch up to people and they would realize how great of an industry it is and how great of a thing it is.
Great. And to both Melissa and Kristen, if you guys could design your own community form for our industry, what would that community include?
Go for it, Melissa.
Yes. Okay. I would include, I mean, like I said, if you want to have an awesome company, you got to hire like the best. So if I had a company forum that I was stalking, it would be the best web developers, the authenticators, the people who know everything about sneakers and what's hot, you know, like the Nike, there's like 400 types of Nikes. I don't know what they are. The difference between pricing one at 50 and 500, you know, so just a massive amount of knowledge. The TikTokers, the poshers, you know, plus store owners. I would just kind of put it all under one umbrella. Accountants, because it's just an interesting conversation, that they will just see things that pop out to them that they would be like, oh yeah, did you know? That one little did you know could save you thousands of dollars or tons of money and time.
I think for me, it would be kind of cool to have a forum where things are listed, like pop-up sales and stuff like that, like leads, because I love stuff like that. Hey, there's a massive sale going on in East Nashville this weekend. And you better bet I'm going to show up and be the first one there and try to get all the goods. Or, a massive estate sale, or, hey, we're unloading. I think another good thing is to partner with actual retail stores, because when they can't unload inventory, what are they going to do with it? So, hey, this store's having a huge sale this weekend, or we're unloading stuff. It would be cool to have a forum where you could get leads like that, where you could be on it.
Great. Okay. And our final topic is advice. I'm going to open this up to each of you. And Christian, we'll start with you. What advice around growth would you have for our audience?
Yeah, so to cap off, the cornerstone of our growth at Painted Tree has been a strategic focus on low overhead and a quick ROI if you're trying to grow quickly, which has been enabled in large part by our partnership with Traxia and SimpleConsign. That has helped us a lot, take a lot of the questions out of how to grow, and how logistically that works. Our financial model has given us the flexibility to expand rapidly without diluting quality, but just making sure that you're not leaving behind quality and you're not outgrowing your own business model. And just making sure the technology you adopt aligns with your core values and financial goals for a steady and sustainable growth path. Great.
And Kristen? What advice would you have for our audience?
My advice is you have to take the risk to get the reward. Growing your business is scary, especially when it comes to opening another location, especially in another state. But if you're passionate about it and you have the drive, you can make it work. You've done it before, you can do it again. A lot of people walk away when it comes to a scary challenge like that, but it's the most fulfilling thing that you'll ever do. It's just to nail it on the head and make it happen.
Great. And Melissa?
I would say to not play the comparison game. Use comparison only to grow. Take things away from other companies, big or small, that you think will benefit your business, but do not compare yourself. Your objective and other people's objective is very different, and knowing your clear objectives, which can change on a regular basis, especially depending on your life. If you're wanting to grow, expand, get divorced, have a baby, care for an elder parent, these are all things. This is the benefit of having a business, is that you are able to modify this. Depending on the size of your business and the growth plan that you have, what is your long-term objective? Stop looking at everybody else and thinking that theirs is bigger, better, stronger. I know people who have $1 million business and bring home $50,000, and people who have a $300,000 business and bring home $100,000. It's really about your objectives. Is your objective to make a ton of money, or to be there for your kids after school? Is your objective to have a place that has 12 locations, or are you trying to give back to your community and provide sustainability? It really needs to be your objective. It's kind of like buying a house. 15 people could look at one house and see the sunroom, and 5 of them would love it. 2 of them would hate it. The other ones don't care. Love the house that you build.
So in addition to the advice that you all just gave, what resources would you recommend to our audience that they look for, take advantage of, or seek out? Kristen, let's start with you.
I think my answer would have to be your peers. I usually go to fellow consignment store owners that are in my area, seasoned ones that have been around a lot longer than me. So if I have questions that arise, or how do I handle the situation, we bounce ideas off of each other. But I think that's one of your best resources, because they've been there, done that. And the same thing goes for me, for new people coming in and opening up stores, is I'm a good point of advice for things that they might have pop up. So I think just definitely using your peers and people that you talk to in your resale community.
Great. Melissa, how about you?
For me, this is kind of long and in depth, as far as I love my peers. Like, they are some of my closest friends now. Not only are they peers in the industry, but they're people I pray with, I cry with, I tell them my problems. So there's so many resources online. There's so many Facebook groups. They are our organizations. I've been part of NARTS for a long time. I love NARTS because I have built such long-term relationships. The theme of NARTS is you're not running the store alone, and it's so true. And then there's a new organization that's, spun off. It's called Next Level, and that's really more an in-depth of the numbers. Both of these things are critical. You have to know your numbers, and you have to know your peers. You have to have all of this stuff. It takes a village.
Great. Okay. And I know I said that question was the final question, but I actually have one finale here. And how important is it for us all to give back to our communities that we're in? Christian, let's start with you.
Yeah, so for us, the way we see the model is kind of community-based retail. So we come in and we hire the employees, but we actually split up the cost of the whole store and split up the cost of the employees amongst us and all of the vendors. And so the vendors can come in and pay for a location and for a staff that they may not be able to get on their own, especially if they don't, considering the time they're putting into it. So they can come in and set up their store and leave, and we're all working together and all splitting expenses to be able to have a relatively low overhead based on the sales that we're all getting.
Kristen, how about you?
I think it's incredibly important because your community is what is bringing you your inventory, at least for me. The community, the women in the community are bringing their closet cleanouts to me, to sell. And then things that I can't do anything with, I think it also would be important to those same community members that I'm doing something that makes a difference. So instead of just dropping it off at, let's say, a Goodwill bin, I'm finding an organization or a nonprofit that I can take those donate items to that would actually go to good use. And so I think it's just, it's like a merry-go-round effect. It all just stays in the community, and I think it's very important.
Great. And finally, Melissa.
So giving back is a huge cornerstone of our company. Anyone who's been around me long enough now has an animal. I'm so sorry. You either have a cat, dog, lizard, something you have adopted that has one eye and 3 legs. We are extremely active in this. I feel like it's an avenue that people do not. Knowledge is what we're giving back. So many people want to give back in their community. They do not realize that right next door to them are neighbors that haven't eaten because they can't afford or they have no ability to get out of their house. I use a lot of the proceeds. We do a lot of charity fundraising because we tell them exactly where it's going. We do a fundraiser where we reached out and I told people, there is a company, there is a man. Let me put a face to him, no name, but let me put a face and a description to him. He can't pay his rent. Now, you might, say, oh, there's all these reasons and he made all these mistakes. In the moment, have a heart. Will you give a little bit? They paid the entire year's rent for him. Did the food banks. We partner with the food banks locally because, again, people just don't realize how much locally is hurting. The food banks, did you know? I didn't know. I went to the food banks. I give them macaroni and cheese, cereal, all this other stuff, and she said, that's great. What we really need is tampons and Dawn detergent. I was like, Dawn? She said, Dawn detergent is the most valuable thing besides tampons and toothpaste. And I'm like, really? She said, yes, because they're small, they can carry it around, and Dawn detergent can be used to clean pots and plates and their bodies and their clothes. So giving back, we do a lot of big charity drives, and people are always asking, where is it going? And people will give extra to it. We do a lot with animal rescue. There's a lot of small rescues. We try very hard to work with small mom and pop rescues that we have vetted because $10,000 to them goes $10,000 to where it needs to go, not $8,000 to marketing, $2,000 to somebody else. So we give back to our community knowledge, and we tell them, when you shop here, this is what you support. This is what you contribute to. It is not us. It is your funding going into it.
Great. All great, you guys. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, our time is up today. I really want to thank you for your participation, your perspectives, and I encourage us all to continue the conversation around growth and what it can mean for all our businesses as our industry evolves here. With that, Jeff, I'll turn it back to you, and thanks, everybody.
Jen, thank you for that. And I'd like to first of all thank 3 customers backed by popular demand, Ensemble and Painted Tree, for sharing your stories. And I'd also like to thank Ed, Joe and Brian for your participation. And not only that, you folks have been phenomenal since the first day we met. We're trying to deliver a seamless solution and a seamless transition and to move forward. And you folks and your team has been absolutely wonderful. So thank you. Great day. We have almost 4,000 customers collectively, and I was looking at some data the other day. Here's some numbers for you. Last year, all of you folks, our total customer base did over 30 million transactions, selling over 100 million items. Collectively, we're going to have the purchasing power to do some things and partnerships that as individuals, we probably wouldn't be available to us. So I look forward to future communications. This is just one of many. We're going to be having these get-togethers on a regular basis. We're constantly going to be pinging you, so we apologize if you get pinged on different questions of what you'd like to see. It's imperative that we understand our customers. We're also going to be visiting our customers. Nothing beats a face-to-face visit to see what it's like in a day in your life. And together, we will build a community that allows us to put technology and play catch-up. For too long, resale and consignment has been overlooked from a technology standpoint. This is no longer a fad. It is a movement. And it is begging for the technology to make your lives easier. And I'll repeat the North Star, because every time we meet as a group or as individuals, we keep that as our guiding purpose and our guiding light. That is to allow our merchants to sell more, faster, with greater ease, and for greater monies. These get-togethers aren't one and done. This is the first of many. We're going to be hosting several of these conversations here as a group, start to build that community we talked about in the earlier discussions, and also start to introduce this technology that we have been talking about and we're investing notable capital behind. So look forward, look in your email, look in your text, your Facebook groups. We look forward to building something special here, and do appreciate everybody taking their time out of the day to join us. So thank you again. Till next time.